others. Okay, so it's recording now. So the way I would do this is, let's just disregard the ring for a second. If we wanted to make this out of 1/2-inch plywood, I would make sure to go, I'd make a parameter of, panel, I'll just call this thickness. Gap. You want this to be solid wood, or do you want it to have a gap?
I want to have I don't want to have gap, yeah. I do not.
Okay, well, just in case somebody else wants the gap, I'm gonna include the gap in the tutorial and we can turn it off at the end.
All right.
So since your thing is symmetrical, we can just do this once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. How do we? So your thing isn't centered. So how do we find the midplane of?
I have a sketch.
Where?
Huh. Should be there. Never mind then. Because I redone it in forming environment, so there's no sketch. There's only, you start with one cube.
Cool, but did you have symmetry on?
Yeah. Just did it.
Let's see, how do we move this to, oh, I can just construct a plane through 3 points. But, great. I just wanted to have a plane so we have something to be symmetrical across.
Got it.
Cool. So now we have this plane here that goes through the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
Ground this. Okay, the plane is fine. If we wanted to make the plane bigger just for aesthetics, there's a way to do that, but we don't need to. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I want to name this plane. Don't know what that is. Center, just to stay organized, because that's going to be really important.
Yeah.
Old ring. Ignore that. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to do an offset plane. Wait. Yeah, so we're going to do capture position. Do an offset plane from this plane. Let's, yeah, sure, in this direction. And the amount we're going to offset it is gap.
Mm-hmm.
And that will end up being 0. Oop. Already I messed up. So I'm going to drag this plane I just made into the component because it should have been there in the first place. And I'm going to activate this component to keep it clean. So I'm going to say first gap. And then I'm going to do construct. Now I'm going to do new sketch. I'm going to hide the plane I'm not using. I'm going to do a new sketch on this plane.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just going to go create, and I'm going to do intersect. And then I can just click this body, make sure to select the body filter. That got a little freezy. And then when I click OK, you can see that now I just have this sketch. And the reason why I have to do this with sketches is because we want to make sure that what we're doing is in fact two-dimensional. Like, it doesn't have complicated curves or complicated curves on its panels, because the CNC can't really do those.
Yes.
So now that we have this sketch, I can go ahead and extrude this thickness. And I'm going to go ahead and do new component instead of new body just to save time.
Mm-hmm.
And we can just repeat that a bunch of times. So I'm going to turn Cobra back on. And, you know, first slice one, hide that, or not. Actually, we can just show that. And, no, let's go ahead and do an array of construction planes. So I'm going to make this visible, rectangular pattern. Nope, you can't. Never mind. You can't array. You got to do it manually. So we got to just do that again. Make another construction plane. But this one is going to be instead of from the Cobra, I'm just going to do it from here. And I'm going to do it by gap. And this plane 3 is gap 2. I'm going to change this one to gap 1 just because I don't want to keep typing the long words of. And then on gap 2, I'm going to do new sketch. Make Cobra visible again. Create, intersect, and again, I'm going to click the Cobra. And then I'm going to hide the Cobra. Finish the sketch. Extrude, thickness. New component. Okay. Slice 2. And now we have 2 slices. I'm going to do just one more slice.
Now it's with the gap.
Yeah, it's with the gap now, but since it's parametric, we can change that later. But I want this to be useful for people who have gaps and who don't have a gap. I'm going to construct another plane, but off of this side of the thing, and I'm going to call it gap. And this is called gap 3. I'm going to new sketch. New sketch on gap 3, hide slice 2, show Cobra, create, intersect, Cobra, hide the Cobra, finish sketch, extrude the curve to thickness, new component, slice 3. Okay, moment of truth. No, actually, first I'm going to do the center. I'm going to make the center visible, and I'm going to create a mirror of these 3 components across this center plane. Oh. Okay, I made a small mistake early on. This first offset plane should have been gap divided by 2. There we go, now it's fixed. And now if I go into parameters, modify, sorry?
Why is that the center plane should be gap divided by 2?
Because if I make it bigger, you'll see that I don't have a piece in the center. The gap, I'm going off of the center by half the gap.
Got it.
So essentially what we have here is, and we can show the Cobra. It's not actually that similar because as the shape continues. Yeah, but by having a gap, it makes it possible to add a gap if you realize that it's too much wood or it's too much weight. Yeah, so this would be how you do that. It looks like a foot.
Yeah.
And if you could go back in time before the mirror, we could have done the whole thing again, where it's like, okay, so offset plane from here, gap, new sketch, show the cobra, create, intersect. With the cobra, finish sketch, extrude, thickness, new component.
Does the footrest should be on the slice as well?
Oh, good point. Edit feature. Yeah, sorry. Oh, so that's going to be a bug in our little algorithm. If as you change parameters, you might have to go back in and select additional things.
Because
Yeah,
not attached to each other.
yeah, because they're not attached to each other. But yeah, since your parameters aren't going to be so radically different, and then edit feature. Just going to add 4 slices. There you go. Cool. I'm going to stop the recording.